Hello. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my experience using breakout rooms with my students. And I am sharing for you a Google document that is a template that has worked well for me. First of all, I came across breakout rooms because I have a daughter who's in high school and she is currently learning remotely. And so this is a feature or an add-on to using Google Meetings, Google Classroom, um, and a way that students can work in small groups while they are in class together. So a great solution for the challenge of getting our students to work in pairs or in small groups. So if anything, there's so much information out there. You can Google, how do I use breakout rooms with my students? And you'll find a lot of wonderful videos that can also better explain. Now, some of the folks that have created these videos have maybe different ways of doing so. And this is one way I know has worked for me. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and copied an actual midterm assignment that I set out with my students for this term. And I went ahead and I tried to just change my students' names just so we can protect their privacy. But one of the first things you want to do is create some sort of a document as a way to keep track of the different Google Meet rooms that you will be setting up. So that's key. That's one. I have 12 students in this class, and so I've decided to break them up in groups of 3. And for their midterm, rather than having each individual student work on a 50 question, test or assessment of the grammar terms that we've learned all up until this time in the course, I decided I would love for them to work in small groups and present to the whole class on specific units, different grammar topics that we had for this grammar 032. It's a high intermediate grammar course. And so I decided to just break them up into their groups based on uh, their first names and how they kind of are listed alphabetically. And you'll see that I've got these 4 rooms set up. Now, of course, anything that is blue and underlined means that that is attached to a link. And this here is the insert link button that you should be aware of in case you've not yet um, tried linking words or phrases to another website or URL, for example. So we have to create these rooms, first of all. So what we'll do is we'll go on ahead and go to our Gmail account. And I need to move my picture here because we have to just make sure that we're logged into the correct account that we want to set up the meetings. And so if I go to Google Meet, this icon here where you see the 9 boxes, you can create a meeting just like that. So you want to prepare this before class, of course, so that it's ready because it does take a little bit of preparation. And so here I'm just going to make this room nickname, make the room's nickname be room 1. So when I continue with that, I can join it. And once I join it, I will copy the joining information. That's going to copy it onto my clipboard. I'll go back to my Google document. I will unlink what this was because this is from a previous assignment and that room link has expired. And I'm going to link that new room here so that when I click onto here, then I will be joining room 1. And so, as you see, even though we may be in class with our students, we can be in several meetings. Now, one thing you do have to be aware of is when the students want to join that room that you created, you would have to admit them in. So here I am. There's 2 of me in this room. So you essentially do that for all of the rooms that you want to create. Just do be careful not to like log out of it because then you might have a hard time getting it set up. So the same goes. I'm just going to keep unlinking these because again, they're for a previous assignment that happened. But as I mentioned, I made a copy of this document so that I can do this again with my students. And like I mentioned, you want to be able to go to where you can create a Google meeting. And again, the way to do that is just to, like, you're going to check your email. So this one I'm going to say is room 2. And again, really what's most important is you're creating the link and getting the joining information. That joining information is what you're going to link onto your document just as a way to manage. And let me just, oops, if you ever need to undo things, you've got the undo buttons there. But again, to make a link, you're going to highlight and then use that button to paste on. So that's room 2. And again, I can check it, make sure that it works okay. But I have these 2 rooms already kind of open. So if I say ask to join, I will most likely have to admit myself. So you'll join when someone lets you in. And so in room 2, it says, oh, someone wants to come in. So I will admit myself. And again, you see me just like we saw earlier. So again, this is just a way for us to start setting up. So that is the room there. Notice that you will enter this room possibly muted, and notice that you might need additional add-ons just so that you're not hearing everyone's voices in all of the rooms that you've set up. And so there is like additional information about how to use those kinds of add-ons. But for right now, I will go on ahead and exit. This is the room that we're in. These are the 2 rooms, room 1 and room 2 that I've created. Just to simplify things, I'll go on ahead and just make this for the 2 rooms, but you get the idea that you can continue on with your students. Now, how this can work for an assignment with your students, for example, is then we can create a Google document for each of the groups to work on so that they have something specific to do. And so I've gone ahead and again just made a copy of the set of Google Slides that I had for each group's midterm project. And the first page here shows that this is group 1 who's going to plan and discuss about comparatives. And essentially, I decided that, there'll be parts that they just will tell the class like they're lecturing it, and then some of the practice assignments and quizzes. And they all have the ability to work on this project. So what I need to do with this is I need to get the link that will uh, be placed on my main document here so that also before I send them off to their rooms, they have the document that they can work on together. And so the same with group 2, I have a document, a collaborative document. This is a Google Slide document that they all can access and work on together. And then I just want to make sure that I add them onto this document or just set up the restrictions so that they can edit. So again, they have a very specific task to work on when they are working in their groups together. And so that's generally the idea of how I've used breakout rooms. Essentially, this would be the room where you are with everyone, all of your students. And then what you can do is, okay, everyone, we're going to be in our breakout rooms. And the first group, the 3 students going into first group, is going to be in this new meeting room. So go on ahead and click onto that meeting room and meet with your fellow group mates. And yeah, you may even want to prepare this beforehand so that the students are aware. Maybe you go through a practice meaning of it. There are these add-ons that helps you to see all of the rooms kind of in multiple ways or multiple, in one view. And so there are all of these different add-ons that I've discovered to use. So one of them, for example, is the mute tab. The mute tab is helpful because it allows you to just mute all the rooms so that you aren't hearing everyone's voices at the same time. And you can essentially, in the meeting room, if I right click, I could see the unmute tab there. Of course, I am on mute right now. But then this way, then you're not also disrupting the other students. So you want to just make sure everyone is muted in the main room, which they can stay in even though they're working with their small group in, for example, room 1 on, for example, the project that they have been assigned, which someone can share the screen and then they can do their work. So just a few tips about that. The other add-on tool, and again, I won't go too much into it here because I'm still kind of figuring it out, is the one about the tab size split screen. And again, if you have these multiple Google meetings happening and you have just one screen, I personally have 3 screens since I've been working online. But if you want to set it up so that you can just access like each room or window in its own on your one monitor, then you can do this. And I believe, you can like set it up so that it breaks out the room like this, which I don't know how it all works. But again, as I mentioned, lots of information online for you to check out. Breakout rooms is something I think is great for our students because it will allow them to work together in the small groups, which has been more and more difficult in some ways until we learn some of these kinds of innovations. All right, thanks everyone. Sorry about all this, but as you see it, it is possible. All right, take good care and happy teaching.